We'll be your host tonight. My name's Adam, and I'm an artist.
Hey, my name's James.
Hi,
I'm an
James.
artist.
Yeah,
Hey,
and we will get into our stories, but today we're going to deal with the person that I'm calling at Naomi K. Ved. This is kind of a gag where it's a super long, it's like a ridiculously long response to a really basic interaction.
that's podcasting.
It seems, yeah, it seems to fall flat. Now this is podcasting. Okay, content. This year, the pressure to achieve financially has intensified significantly for me. Certain individuals in my life suggest giving up on my ambitions because they believe that
Thanks,
giving up,
Dad.
yeah, certain individuals, Bobby Fister,
Oh, jeez.
because they believe that giving up would be a more realistic decision for me. Why don't you just, the truth of the matter is you should just give up. I wouldn't say toxic, but definitely a more realistic, pragmatic, cynical perspective, which can be very valuable. So they say their doubts creep in and almost make themselves mine. It may sound trivial to some, but it feels like a personal crisis.
But no.
Are you talking to me?
Well, yeah, I know. Of course, so it may seem trivial to some, but to me, it's a personal crisis. That's 100% accurate, no matter what you're talking
Well, and that's the nature of personal crises. Like you can,
Yeah, it's very
if it's
personal.
not bleeding,
It's
you can go
very
and
real.
yeah.
I have a problem with Rapunzel syndrome, and everyone's telling me to stop eating hair. That's okay. That seems trivial to the other person, but don't ever take your interpersonal strife as it's nothing because it doesn't affect anyone else. It affects the only person you have in your life, your entire life.
I think a lot of us try to use the fathering brain a lot to get our shit in order to get things done. But at the end of the day, you have to be your support structure, and you have to be able to take care of yourself. And the management of your self esteem is something that you have to take seriously, and that requires you to treat yourself as an object of your own love. And that's like a thing that's kind of hard to do in our culture and in any culture, really. Um, it's very easy for most of us, if we're in a relationship or in a marriage or something, to take our partner and make them like, you can feel that very forgiving, very accepting, very like, all right, you can kind of put things aside and get to the core that like, I really like this person, I really support this person, and I just want to do whatever enables them to be happy and successful. And how hard is it to do that for yourself?
Pretty
And
fucking hard.
to the same extent, management, like it's so much easier to boss people around to get a job done. But when you're just like, I'm trying to live a human life the best way possible, you don't, it's so hard to take that attitude about it. Like, okay, so I'm the boss of this project. The goal is to have a good life. What do I do, boss? Okay, well, the first thing we got, but also you're going to get worn out. You need to have mom too. Like, all right, guys, you ready to go take a bath now? Because, we have to do that too.
Do you want to pack lunch?
Yeah. Is it snuggle time yet? All right.
So yeah, sorry to interrupt, but
No, I'm encouraging this.
the grand scheme of things, don't think because you are in struggle that it's not important.
Interesting that in this struggle between art and career and kind of finding yourself and figuring out what you value more, that integral comes into play and you become interested in, what's this all about? There's probably a lot of topics like this that you're exploring, and this is one thing that's kind of coming up as an interesting thing. Um, Same page club, right? There's some sort of a solution here, at least in just recognizing that the conflict is resulting from two clashing value systems, two different memes. It's basically orange meme and green meme. Your desire for personal expression and participation in the intellectual community or some sort of community is at odds with your material needs and your desire to be maybe not only competent as a European citizen individual YouTuber, right? But to be exceptional, outstanding, superlative, competitive at those things. That's the track, the horizontal progression of the orange meme desire. At green meme, you could totally fail. You could be beaten to death in an alley if you played the horn good enough, and you have accomplished the green meme goal. And there's just countless examples of things like that, because green isn't focused on a progression towards an end. It's the present moment, participation of an authentic self, not a character you're playing, but the true self that you're trying to be, participating in the world authentically with authentic people. That would be more the green drive, and that drives people towards art. I think another thing drives people towards art oftentimes is the inability to communicate emotions. And so art becomes this way that I can get my emotions out there and have people receive them, but it's objectified. It's not me, it's this movie I made. So do you like the movie? Do you not like the movie? I mean, secretly that's a little voodoo doll I made of myself. And I think that's always the case. And that's where the self-esteem and the ego get so tied in, because almost everyone in the world is going to do a lot of stuff that sucks to most people before they do anything that's interesting or compelling to anybody other than their tribe
Do you think
and mom.
anyone who's creating art in any medium whatsoever has ever done it knowing that it sucks?
I think I've done it knowing that it sucks,
Why did you do it?
panning for gold. Like there's something in there that's working. If I can just keep building that up and getting rid of the stuff that sucks. But ultimately, the overriding force of the final product was that I would say that objectively, it isn't a product which a person would find compelling for any particular reason.
Were you honing your craft or okay, let's see. Were you making something that sucks from the get-go, knowing that if you make a bunch of sucky stuff, something's going to stick? Or were you making something that sucks? If I make 100 sucky things, the 101st will suck less than the 100th. What was your, did you
Honestly,
think about
I
it?
would reframe the whole thing. And I think that what I would do is I would start at something and I would suck and I'd get better really quick. But then I'd be only like kind of good at it. And then I'd get bored and I'd say, okay, maybe this isn't my thing. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do something similar that brings in and integrates elements of the thing I did before. But it's more just this constant like shifting between things. And that just resulting from, I think, me being dissatisfied after the honeymoon period with the thing. So,
No, you did not start out to make something that sucked.
well, that wasn't the goal was not to make something that sucked. It was more that making a thing that sucked would be an adequate solution. I'm not trying to make a masterpiece. I want to spend 15 minutes a day working on art, or I want to finish writing a song. I want to perform that song out. So far, the goals are not at all extrinsic. Like it's not about the quality or the approval or anything. It's just I want to finish writing an entire novel, you know? So there's goals along the way, and it takes a while to get to the point where you're competent enough that you can actually start to say, okay, we got the model, the whole picture is working, but this needs to improve now, the quality. That's what I think. First, getting it up to a quality standard, and then to whatever extent you can afford polish, get it as polished as you can afford. But the goal isn't you would hope that things would magically end up, not sucking. Your reasonable expectation. The very first movie that I make is probably going to suck. But so the problem isn't that, it's that I didn't keep making movies and have them suck less and less. It's that I made 2 movies and then I never did that again and didn't. I'm the like binge drinker, like I get deep into
Project
an
or-
artistic hobby or project or ambition or goal set, but then I just at a certain point I just fly out of there. Okay, this isn't it. I'm gonna try something else. I'm gonna write now, and maybe I'll still have that other thing in mind, and I'll still like have a group or work on it or go to a writing group or discussion group or something like that. But it isn't like my main squeeze. I like tend to have a main thing that I'm really passionate about and interested about. Like right now it would be this podcast, I would say, is the main thing that I'm doing and interested in. according to my pattern, we should reasonably expect that over time I'll be like, oh, I really want to like do my rock opera now. So I'm just going to like work on that music all the time. And then this thing will become less interesting. And so I won't ever get really good at live streaming. I've spent maybe 30 years doing that. But I think a lot of it is just the insecurity of owning your own identity. I think it gets to a point of intimacy with an audience where you really have to own, this is what I do as an artist. I found my thing. Here, check it out. You don't like it? Fine. I think that takes a lot of like, I probably have like a lot of insecurity that contributes to me like abandoning, again, not being my own cheerleader, my own best fan. I think that is requisite in order to be like an artist who is leading, in a leadership artist, you know, doing new things, doing interesting things. Anyone can nail out a cookie cutter, but I don't think that's what artists are trying to do. It might be a transitional step, just like making stuff that sucks is a transitional step. Making commercial stuff or making passionless stuff might also be a transitional step.
So I apologize to everyone listening. I lost focus on why I was asking if you set out to make something that sucks. The whole point of that was to kind of weave through some of the things you've talked about. But people in Naomi Cavet's life are telling her to quit, and or him, I don't know, to quit. And if you're setting out to do something that you think is going to suck, this is sort of a self-abuse thing. Does making that thing that everyone thought sucked make you any more happy? Does that make the part of your life that you're not making that thing better because you're thinking about it, thinking whatever, or whatever? Does it make your life better to continue doing it mentally? Are you happier with yourself? Do you feel like you're contributing something that is bigger than yourself, or 1,000 things, or are you making it just for the sake of getting better, or I'm making this thing and it's almost a chore to me to kick this out because I've planted my heels in the sand and said this is what I'm going to do. To quote RuPaul, how the hell are you going to love somebody else if you can't love yourself? That's not a quote because I think she says it differently. Anyway, people are telling you to give up. I can give a 3-hour seminar on why people should give up earlier than they do.
Mm-hmm.
That's more problem solving, giving up. If you're trying to solve a problem for a long time, give up because you're only wasting everyone's time.
Well, actually, we should probably get into my response because this is actually, I make this point. I make this very point similarly to how you do.
I thought we were deep into the response side already.
We are. We're good. It's fine.
Okay.
This is exactly what I want to do.